I don't even know where to start. Kieran and Christine, God bless them. And I'll get to Lacey Nathan in a second. These editors know what they're doing, you know. Because how are you about to talk about someone else's curves whilst you are slipping and sliding down the Jamaican waterway? And I do think that is a sexy quality, to have that kind of confidence, that he slept the whole way through and didn't say nothing. You know how long it takes to fly to Jamaica? Is it best if someone asks you a direct question as to why you're not into them? Is it better that you tell them the exact reason why, or just keep it vague and keep it moving? Emma and Charlie, I'm like, this, like, sorry, it's just so juicy. It's been a couple days. Yeah, it's been a couple days. It's been a couple days. Oh dear. Welcome, people thems. So, episode 3. Sorry, I don't even know, I'm already laughing. Episode 3 of Married at First Sight UK, yeah. I don't even know where to start. I actually don't know where to start. Do you know what? I do know where to start. We'll start off with Kieran and Christine. Yeah, Kieran and Christine. God bless them. God bless them. Because if it wasn't for them, I genuinely would be like, oh, what is the point of this show? Because honestly, they are just... And I don't want to get my hopes up too much yet, because sometimes when you watch these shows, you can see people and, you know, they get on. Look at, what was her name? Mixed race got shot. Was it? Began with C. And the white guy that she was married to, and they, from the get-go, they got on, they had a laugh, they were cute, like, you just really were kind of just like, oh my god, these guys, and he just ladder, and then tried to get her back at the reunion, and she was kind of like, nah. I can't remember their names though. It'll come to me, but anyway, you don't want to get too invested. Like, I mean, plus the fact you don't know these people, right? So it's really fine not to get too invested, but you know, Kieran and Christine, they're just cute, man. They're just cute. You know, they're all chilling and all happy that they're in Thailand. I think it's Thailand that they were in. And you know, he's like stoked about the room. You know, laughing over the dragon fruit and stuff, and then laughter. Like, I think that's the thing for me. Like, you know, the tactile stuff with like the, you know, the hand placements and the little kisses and that kind of stuff. But if you can genuinely be having like an actual belly laugh with someone that you've just recently met, I mean, that's kind of where it all starts, surely. Because for me, if there's no vibe, if I can't vibe, it doesn't matter how good you look. And I'll get to Lacey Nathan in a second, but yeah, like, but it doesn't matter how good you look. Like, if there's no vibe and I can't just be like relaxed and stupid with you, or you know, and the same vice versa, you can't do the same with me, like, it's just a bit dead. Do you know what I mean? So watching how they interact, and then when she was telling him about the PMDD, which I've never heard of before, which sounds awful, and how it's impacted their previous relationships and stuff, and you know, he was straight in there to like, listen, I will do my best to be there for you because you deserve it, and then he was like, sorry. And then he's like, you know what? Everyone's got the quirks, yeah. Like, I've got a head butt crack. Sorry. I was like, well, at least you can wax mine. Funny, like his jokes, man. They've got a nice bond together, and the fact that they've said that, you know, there's no awkward moments. Like, it's just been chill, and I think that's a really good sign. Do you know what I mean? And when she complimented him, because obviously he was really hung up about the height thing as well, and you know, she was like, look, you are 6 foot to me, like, and that's just amazing. Like, that's just really cool. So they are good, yeah. So we can tick them off. They are good. We've got high hopes for them still. I don't know which we want to go to first. In fact, no, we'll do Nathan and Lacey. So I said in my last one, yeah, that like, I don't know how much obviously his ADHD affects like just his personality in terms of him being present. But there were so many moments in this. I mean, like, they're in the Gambia, and you know, it's like pulling teeth. It's literally like pulling teeth, and I can understand that when you don't really know someone, particularly if you know they've got a condition, but you don't really know how that manifests itself, you are going to be that person that's like trying to stimulate conversation, and that can get really weary really quick. So I can imagine for her that she's like, I'm just, and then with the call, like, listen, as I said, I don't know how much of this is the impact of his condition. So, like you said, he was eating some big gargantuan mouthfuls. By the way, like I'm like, dude, like you're practically on a date with your new wife. I mean, do you not want to just take off a little bit of food off the fork and just bro? I mean, he got it in. He did get it in. I was like, dude, that's mad. But yeah, the cool thing, particularly when she was talking about the trauma of driving and the fact that she'd already brought it up before, and again, he wasn't really connected to what she was saying. But I like the fact that when she addressed it with him, she did explain that, like, for example, I don't have ADHD, so it would never have entered my head that the fact that, the cooking had happened that day and he was eating and they're in the Gambia on the TV set and stuff, that maybe for him there's so much going on in just that sense that he didn't have the capacity to show that kind of emotional intelligence. Because I did think maybe he's just not emotionally intelligent as well as having ADHD. But now I think, when he gave her like the necklace, and he was like, oh, it's, because obviously you're Jamaican Irish and stuff, so. And I was like, do you know what, bro? Okay. And you saw in her straight away, she was like, this is the more than you realize. All she wanted really is to know that he's into her and he's into it. And they were having jokes and stuff at the reptilian park. Don't ever take me on no date at no reptilian park. Like, I don't mind, like, a little venture out one of the days just to have a look, but on a date, no thanks. No, thank you. And I bet you that's not too far from the Arachnid Park as well. So all of that, nah, you're good, thanks. But I did think it was funny though that he was like, "Oh, I'm not scared of snakes," and literally just from the first little bit of scale was just like, I don't think so. I don't think so. So yeah, they ended really nice, I think, and at least they didn't argue. Do you know what I mean? She might have felt a bit frustrated, a bit let down, which arguably could be worse. But at least they ended on a good note. Do you know what I mean? On a good note. So yeah, okay. Still not sure, because the other thing that she has to, I guess, think about, and I guess this is the same for anybody, is whether or not someone, as nice as someone might be, whether or not they're going to be able to fulfill the needs that you have. And again, I guess it's trying to understand, where does the ADHD start and finish, and how much of that can he impact and alter to make sure that she does feel special, and that she does feel that she's not just, one of his mates. That, do you know what I mean? Like, I think that's something that she'll probably need to consider moving down the line. But yeah, it's nice that ended nice. Emma and Casper. So you know what's funny about this? Yeah, I kind of went into this being as like, I'm definitely gonna think that he's an absolute a-hole like that, because I'm just like, since I posted that video, I'm just like, I don't understand how else her weight would have come into the conversation unless he's brought it up. But I think what was interesting about this, yeah, I mean, notwithstanding that, I do think he was a little callous with it. And you see, these editors know what they're doing, because how are you about to talk about someone else's curves, right? Whilst you are slipping and sliding down the Jamaican waterway, yeah. I am looking, bearing in mind he's like, I'm used to my girls being petite, and I'm like, you're talking like you're built like Ryan Gosling. I don't know whether am I Ryan Gosling. Are you here, sir? Are you here with us today? Like, I'm just like, fam, you got a nerve. And again, I'm not trying to body shame nobody. Do you know what I mean? Like, but for someone to openly call out someone else and they're not svelte as hell, I'm like, you've really got a nerve. You've really got a nerve. So I was like, that's not cool. But I do think though, and I do think there's a conversation to be had here, because I think she was, she that interaction when they were on the, I'm not, I know I'm laughing, it's not funny, but that interaction when they're on the sofa and he was like, I'm having difficulty even getting the words out, but I'm having difficulty in the whole attractiveness, and I'm not really sure. And he didn't word it very well because he was like, she's like, so you don't think I'm attractive? And the way that she was staring at him and like really being like, okay, so when did these feelings start? She's really looking at him. I can imagine in that instance that's quite difficult, and particularly when she's like, "What do you think it is then? What is it you don't think that's attractive then? What is it you don't like?" And obviously, he then is put on the spot to be honest or to lie. So I'd said in my previous video, if you're not feeling someone, my tack would always be just there is just a vibe that I'm not connecting with. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just not there for me. Which arguably people could say that is the cowardly way out of it, but it also means that I'm not trying to smash down whatever it is that I'm not feeling. But if you are sat down there on a sofa with the big camera crew and all the lights and those, like at some points I did feel like she was like a teacher. I'd been called to the head's room and was like, explain yourself. What is it that you don't like? What, like just searching. And if you're gonna ask that question, if you're gonna invite someone to be honest with you, then I think there is a legitimacy in someone then being honest with you. It may not be something that you want to hear, and it may be something that is hurtful. But this is why I was talking about the whole height thing, because if you watch any of these YouTube clips with the balloon, and people popping the balloons and stuff, and they can't wait to tell you the reason why they pop them, but they can't wait talk about your shoes and you do locks and they cannot wait to tell you. So I feel like it's on the one hand, yes, it's pretty awful for someone to be like, I see you as just your size, and you're curvier than what I would usually go for. But on the other hand, I do feel like he has every right to a have a preference if he does have a preference, and you can't, like, if someone said to me like oh, here's a here's I know something or someone that I don't find attractive, like I couldn't just make myself find them attractive. Do you know what I mean? So he's kind of stuck in a bit of a rock and a hard place in that he's probably overthinking the process, how long I'm going to be here. Is it best I'm just honest now? Is it something that I hang on to right until the end? Like it is a difficult situation. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it's as easy as like Catherine Tate would be like, what do you're do you know what I mean? I don't think it was that, but I do think that like some of his facial expressions, even when they got there, he's like, yeah, I'm so glad to be, yeah, so I'm glad to be here. It could have been like a David Brent sketch. Do you know what I mean? That's how awkward it was. So I think he was really going through it, but I just don't think he necessarily handled it very well. I think there was a comment he made when he was like, yeah, let's be honest. Let's be honest. And it's like, what do you mean? Let's be honest, bro. That don't sound good. That does not sound good. And what I do rate her for, though, I rate the fact that she was like, she's got that confidence in herself. Like, she surrounds herself with good people that lift her up, and she's like, if you didn't think I looked great in my wedding dress, if you didn't think I looked gorgeous in my sexy bikini, like she has got herself in her head as to where she's at. And I do think that is a sexy quality, to have that kind of confidence, because it means then that you're not cowering to someone's opinion, even though ultimately it still upset her that he wasn't attracted to her and the reasons he gave, which kind of was a bit counters that thought process slightly. But she's only human. I mean, I don't think anybody wants to hear from someone else that like I just don't. You're just not it. You're just not it. Definitely a bit more conflicted than what I thought I was going to be seeing that clip. I like the fact that they spoke about it and they kind of squashed it and stuff. But again, I do think that when she gunned for him the next morning, it was like I was angry. Like in that moment, I was like, I appreciate that it hurt your feelings, but should he have lied? And I don't think he should have done. Like she said, maybe he could have phrased it better, and we didn't see the whole conversation. Do you know what I mean? We didn't see it all, but from what I saw, it was awkward from the get go. And like I said, the fact that she's asking you what is the reason that you do not find me attractive. I mean, the fact that she said that he slept the whole way through and didn't say nothing. You know how long it takes to fly to Jamaica? You know how long it takes to fly, and he slept the whole way and didn't say nothing. That is not someone that is connected to wanting to talk to you. Do you know what I mean? So maybe he was still in his feelings about that. But again, I think it ended in a positive way where they're both like, look, we want to work through this. You know, we've been matched together for a reason. I'm not going anywhere. I think it did kind of humble him a little bit to like what he said and how his actions left her feeling. But again, I'm just interested to kind of hear what other people think. Like, you know, is it best if someone asks you a direct question as to why you're not into them? Is it better that you tell them the exact reason why? As small, big, petty, whatever, is it better that you tell them that? Or do you, you know, cushion their ego and try not to dismantle their self-esteem and just keep it vague and keep it moving? I still think if someone was adamant that they wanted to know what the reason is, and there probably is a root cause reason as to what it is that you're not feeling about someone. Sometimes you're just not attracted to them. Like, it could be a multiple set of things. You know what I mean? But you know, there will be things that are totting up as to what makes that, right. I still think I would opt to just keep it vague and keep it moving, because I don't need to be the one. Like, you know, if you've trying to think of attributes that want to offend nobody. But if you've got, like, I don't know, a big foot, like a big head, like, you know, big elbows, crusty toes, whatever. If you've got something that isn't attractive to me, like, that could be someone's thing. Like, that they've been looking for someone with the crusty toes. Like, brilliant. Where have you been? My whole crusty toe-less life. So why should I make you feel bad about something that isn't my vibe but could be someone else's? Do you know what I mean? So but like I said, if someone's asking you a very direct question, I don't think you should lie either. So yeah, interested to know what you think about that. Anyway, Emma and Charlie, dude, I don't think I've had this much like animation watching an episode of this show ever, especially at this stage at the honeymoon. Like, her friends have said that she falls quick. You know, she herself has said that she falls quick. She ended that episode by being like, I'm not saying it's love, but, you know, like, that is just far too... You've met this person for one day. Like, you know, how do you know they're not going to be, you know, someone that comes home and wants to bury a cat in the garden? Like, you don't know how you say love after that short space of time. That makes no sense. But anyway, she ended the episode saying that. So then when you saw the clip and she was just like, you've left me alone again, I was like, that is a lot of vim for someone that you've just met. And now I get it, because they've slept together multiple times. And I think this is exactly the issue, right? So you've now confused and mixed up this physical attraction and this lust for this person that you think is physically an attractive person that you want to jump into bed with, but you haven't really got to know them. And for me, like, I don't want to call it crazy, because I think that's offensive to people with, illnesses and whatever. But I do think there's a level of, I don't know, want to boil your pigeon about this situation. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit much. Like, you know, even when they were, like, getting into the pool and stuff, and she's just like, you know, yeah, it's like, so we'll chill now, we'll go and eat, and then we'll have sex again. And, you know, and it's like, it's a little bit like, and again, I don't really rate the dude, but where I did agree with him initially, I don't know if anyone remembers Matt from last year's, was it last year's or the year before? It would have been the year before. Yeah, it would have been the year before. Matt, who ended up with Whitney, but he was previously married to Gemma. And Gemma was a very, you know, like, quite crass, like, lots of innuendos and that kind of stuff. And I mean, I got it totally. That would put me off straight away. Like, you know, you want there to be like a bit of a dance, you want there to be a bit of an allure, you want there to be, you know, you want to, like, you know, you want to work up to those kind of things. I mean, maybe obviously be cheeky and stuff, but like, when it's all just on the plate and just wet up, I don't want none of that. Thank you very much. So I can understand why Eve was like, it's a bit much. We move at different paces and stuff. Then she said that they'd had a conversation. Been something. Oh, that was it. That she stormed off, and she didn't like the way that Charlie had spoken to her. Now I don't know whether that was the night that she then went off to the different apartment that night. But you know, to Charlie's credit, I do feel like if someone had done that whilst I was on holiday with them, like you're the only person that I know. Like I'm not here with anybody else. I've married you, and you've now gone to a whole different room because you don't want to be around me. I think that would probably upset me too. Do you know what I mean? I think that would definitely play on my mind to be like, rah. But you then got to ask yourself the question that if someone feels, well, there's two things really. One, if that's how someone deals with, like, because we don't know, because we weren't there, what level of conflict that it was. Because there isn't anything worse than when someone's trying to talk to you or trying to sort something out and someone just shuts down and wants no part of it. Not interested, done, I'm off. Because then there's no healing, there's no reconciliation, there's no resolution. Do you know what I mean? And you know, a whole 12 hours, I think she said, that she was left. That's a big message for someone, I think. However, depending on the severity of what that confrontation was like, I can completely understand why Eve was like, I'm just gonna take myself out of that because I met you 2 days ago, and you're all up in my face with the like that's a lot. But again, because you've now slept together, you've got this kind of this disconnect between this physical intimacy that you've had and just not really knowing this person, and now you're stuck in sorry, and now you're stuck in Mexico. And then you're stuck in Mexico with this person that is shouting at you, and you're like, I don't deal well with this. You know, you can see how well, like, how not well she was dealing with it, because she even ended up crying and stuff. And again, this is just from what I'm seeing. I mean, my opinion could be completely wrong. I'm just basing it on the 52 minutes I've just seen, but I feel like she's not got much self-awareness, because even when Eve has come to talk to her, she's talking over her. Like, she's not letting her finish. She is raising her voice. And she's like, this level of argument to me is the kind of thing that you would expect to see. You know, when you go on like a night out or whatever and you're with your friends, and you know, like, some things happen, but some people have got a little bit more drunk than they should have done, and then next thing you know, your two friends who are in a couple are having some big old argument in the dance floor, and you're just like, right, like, ooh. It was like that, but they've only known each other for like, again, a couple hours, a couple hours. So I'm like, how is it ever this deep? Like, how, if you ever need to get to the point where you're talking to someone else like that after knowing them for that length of time, there's already a problem. And I'd be thinking straight away, it don't matter how good you are at the walk in, if we can't connect on this kind of level where we can just talk, conversate, and have it done, this is never going to work. This is like 3 days in. You want to talk about marriage? I did think though, when the after the bridge where they had that other bus stop and Eve was like, I'm off. And again, the paradigm of that, like, to be in this absolutely beautiful setting and having this ridiculous Barney with someone that you just met, like, it's so mad. But when they reconciled that one, and then tried again to have, a good conversation and stuff, that was it. They'd kind of spoke it with that the first time that Eve had gone, she came back in and they were being all kind of tactile and stuff once they made up. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, they're gonna have one little argument, whatever, and then move on. But then that then turned into another one where she was like, you've come and you've like been banging and screaming on my door. And then obviously she was like, we just slept together and you'd walked out, slammed the door and left me again, which you said you wouldn't do but 24 hours ago. I'm like, this, like, sorry. It was just so juicy. It's just so juicy. And I'm just like, how is this even happening? Like, how is it possible that you don't see that this is ridiculous? And to be quite frank, you're probably not going to make your way back from this, because how do you forget that? How do you forget that you're in paradise and this is the interactions that you're having with someone that, yeah, you probably got on really well on the first night, but, if you went out tonight and met someone, like, you would maybe think that they're friggin', the sun shines out of every orifice, but you don't know them. So now you've got to know them. You're like, actually, the absolute shame. that you've got someone, she said screaming, banging down the door and screaming. I don't know nobody here. And suddenly I'm in an episode of EastEnders in Mexico. Like, nah. So I think that truly, I don't think Eve was ever really past that. And I think them making that decision to say, look, it's the last night, let's just squash it. Like Eve said, I don't want no deep conversation. I just want to enjoy the last night together. The dinner looked very tense. Looked very tense. Looked very, very, very tense. I also understand that for Charlie, or someone like Charlie, she's feeling emotional. Like, she wants to be able to express that with her partner and talk about it. But you see what because I guess they're both very stuck into who offended who and who was the cause of the beef. They're still in conflict mode because they're not really hearing each other. Because as Charlie started speaking about how she felt really upset, she was still very much like, I've done everything for you. I've gave you everything that you needed. You said you needed space. I've done it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, and yet you just, and obviously I guess Eve's reaction to having already been shouted at for the last 3 days by someone she doesn't know is like, I'm not listening to no more of this. So then obviously that then gets her back up to be like, this is exactly what you keep doing. And I'm just like, how have you got to the point where you're like, you always? How can you say always? It's been days. It's been days. You've got a sandwich that's probably lasted longer than the length of time that you've known each other. Like, actually, it's mad. Yeah, I don't know. Like, as I said, none of us were there, so we don't know the ins and outs of all the different interactions and stuff. But just based on what we've seen, like, yeah, I personally would put the majority of the fault in Charlie's camp. She's got a big heart. She wants to be loved. She's falling in love very, very quickly. She's falling, like she said, I'm falling for her. And I think that has led her to be a little bit loco and to not be able to to manage herself better. Like, and she's exhibiting very, very unattractive qualities. I'm not saying that walking away from a situation is attractive, because it's not. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you don't want to feel that someone's just going to bolt at the minute that there's a problem. So I think that is definitely something that Eve, probably needs to think about, or people that do that. But, there's no way I'll be sitting down there letting you talk to me like that. And acting like I've slapped your mum or something. Like, it's not that deep. But what I didn't understand, and again, I don't know whether it's just not been edited, is why didn't Eve just say to her, because she was like, people move at different paces, but why didn't she just say, look, we have moved too quickly, like, we probably shouldn't move that quick again. That's kind of the reason why I don't want to move back into the room, because I think maybe we should. But then she said that they'd slept together again, so I think she has probably sent some mixed messages in that regard. Because if that's the case, why are you still sleeping together? Like, if you want to slow things down, then one of the first things you take off the table is the physical intimacy. Like, take that off. Like, for some people it is just the walk, but for some people it means more than that. So, yeah, I think that they probably shouldn't have done that again, really. But yeah, that whole scenario, I was just like, you're gonna watch this back and just cringe. You're gonna cringe that this is how you're dealing with the situation. It's like, I would rather genuinely, if that were me in that situation, I think I probably would have done Eve. And if we'd met up, because again, I don't know the severity, but when she's saying screaming at the door, I think I'm gonna guess that it could have been that ferocious. That we ain't linking up again until we can have a proper conversation. And if we can't do that, then realistically, then because we're not about to do this. I'm not coming back home to have my people to be like, oh, I saw all that Cat Slater stuff on holiday. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. And particularly because these are grown people who probably have been in situations that have led to things like that. We're like, I'm not doing that, and I'm definitely not doing that on a TV public stage. So yeah, very, very juicy episode, and I hope that everyone's okay. Like, because people do say there's a lot of this that's scripted and faked and stuff, but there does seem to be a lot of genuine emotions as well. So it's hard to know what's been pushed by producers and what is genuine. But you know, it's not nice to ever feel sad or rejected or alone, or you know, or even that you might be the problem and know you're the problem and can't do nothing about it. So you know, I do hope as the shows progress, that you know that they get the support that they need. Because it's not about vilifying anybody, but all I will say, like I said earlier, is I do think Charlie needed to check herself several times, several times, bro. Chill out, man. Like, you know, this is not Midsummer's Night's Dream. Like, we don't need to be doing all of this. Like, it's been a couple days. Yeah, it's been a couple of days. It's been a couple of days. Oh dear. Anyway, I'd love to know what everyone else thought of this. Let me know in the comments below. Particularly, like I said, about the whole, do you tell people what it is that's giving you... I mean, I don't like the word ick. It's so like, ugh. But, you know, if something has genuinely put you off, like, is it better to tell them? Is it better to kind of skirt around the issue? And also, based on the clip for next week, what we're thinking about that, because there were a couple of things in there that I'm like, oh, which I think comes back down to this whole physical thing, which is what I said from episode 1, that whilst you might theoretically be like, yeah, I'm ready to step outside of my comfort zone, my type, or I'm going to do this experiment, it must be difficult to physically fight that when physically the person that you're looking at is not someone that you would necessarily approach, or, you know. And I know there are those love stories out there where they do say, like, I would never have spoken to you, but, you know, the cosmos aligned and here we are. But I think it's really difficult when you've got all eyes, like the best friend obviously went up to him to be like, you know, do you find her attractive? And then went quick to go and tell her that you don't. Which is, again, it's difficult. Like, what do you... Oh, I don't know. So interested to know what people think on that one. But anyway, if you did enjoy this, please drop me a like and subscribe. That'd be amazing. Thank you very much. And if you do want to watch the... Because I probably will edit this down because it's probably a long one. If you do want to watch the full reactions, then do come over to my Patreon. But for now, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.